Josh, can you hear us? Josh, if you can hear us, we are back from the site visit. I want to give you some time to get situated back in. Here, I'm gonna leave. I'll leave a note in the chat that says we're back, and then.
Yeah.
No. Oh, I might have clicked it with the mouse. Oh, Josh is back. All right. We're gonna go ahead and start franchise support.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone.
Hello.
How are you? You guys had a nice lunch and site visit. Josh, I hope you had a nice lunch as well, and everyone joining us. As Costa mentioned earlier, I'm Justin Arnold. I'm the head of compliance here at Costa Oil International. My role is to handle various legal and compliance matters on behalf of the franchisor, such as franchise agreements, commercial leases, ensuring franchisees meet the brand standards of our system. And so I'm sure that I'll be interacting with many of you as you move forward. Today, I want to talk to you a little bit about the various ways that the franchisor supports franchisees as you come into our system from the time that you sign a franchise agreement. First off, our goal is to provide a path, a model for you to follow in launching your Costa Oil business. And we believe very firmly that if you follow our model and you work really hard, that you will achieve success. You may have heard this many times before, but it's really true here. While you're in business for yourself, you're not in business by yourself, and we really believe that. After you officially become a franchisee, as we discussed earlier, you're going to be assigned to a franchise coordinator. And think of the franchise coordinator as a tour guide to help you navigate the process from coming into our system until training until opening. And so, one of the first steps in that process along that journey is site selection. And you guys remember from earlier today, Morrow Hill and that conversation. Towards the end of that real estate process, you're going to attend training. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about the training that you'll receive. And there really are four components to that training. There's pre-training modules. We'll talk a little bit about that in a second. And then there's classroom training here in our corporate headquarters. And then there's hands-on training at our kiosk that you guys just visited. And then after you leave training, there's post-training modules that you'll have access to and be expected to take that are on Motor Oil U, which we'll talk about next. So our pre-training modules, we created Motor Oil U as our proprietary oil change training platform for franchisees. It's on this platform that you will take, and when I say you, I mean franchisees, principal operators, if you designate a principal operator, and any territory managers, you will take and complete a pre-training module called Motor Oil 101 before attending the in-person training here in our headquarters. And upon successful completion of Motor Oil 101, we will schedule you for the next in-person training class here in our headquarters. So what is Motor Oil 101? Motor Oil 101 is our required pre-training module that focuses on both business management and technical skills needed in our industry. Taking that module ensures that you understand the basic terminology and industry concepts that will be discussed further in training. So it really makes sure that you have a baseline before you come back here for in-person training so that we're all on the same page. All right, so what's training like? So training is held here. We just, as Costa mentioned earlier, we just finished our training, our monthly training class yesterday. A very nice group. I think it went great. But we hold training here. This is actually a picture from our York headquarters back a long time ago when we were in a different facility. So we hold training here, and again, as soon as we certify that you've taken Motor Oil 101, we schedule you for that next class. We hold it once a month. It's 3 days, and we typically do it on this Costa is it the second week or third week of every month, right? Monday through
So
Wednesday.
we do it the same week as Discovery Day every month.
Right.
We've scheduled 12 months out in advance. It's the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday leading up to Discovery Day, which is always the third Thursday of the month.
Now, ideally, you're coming to training not too early, but not too late in the process. We think 4 to 6 weeks before grand opening is ideal. It needs to be done at least 4 weeks. And again, the only prerequisite is Motor Oil 101. And the reality is that if you come too early, you may forget everything. And so we really want to make sure we're engaging you in the process as you're moving towards grand opening. But at the same time, we want to make sure that you're not learning everything and then having to relearn it later. So training 4 to 6 weeks prior to opening. And the opening is really going to fluctuate based on where you are with the real estate process and everything in your local jurisdiction.
The Motor Oil class that you keep referencing, is it online?
Yeah, that's Motor Oil U. That's our university, our online platform. And so Motor Oil 101. It's a very brief module, just going over the basic terminology, basic concepts, so everyone's on the same page. And when we get to training, we're all at least at a certain point. Okay, so training, as we said, is really 4 components: pre-training modules, in person, hands-on at the Hanover store, and post-training modules. So all of that's going to add up to 40 hours. These are some of the topics that we cover. But keep in mind, this is really going to encompass a lot of the post-training modules that you'll take, again, on Motor Oil U after you leave training. And those will be required for you to be able to open. So some of the topics that we cover during training: point of sale software, kiosk safety, recruiting staff, marketing the business, risk management, and financial concepts. As I mentioned, the other part of training is our hands-on training at the Hanover store that our in-person attendees just visited. So about half of your time here in Hanover is going to be spent at the store, engaging and learning the operations of the business. Now, one of the requirements to open is that you successfully pass training. And so you're going to get a certificate of completion at the end, which is going to be required. And we're going to implement, and you'll have to really pay attention during the pre-training module and the training itself, because you'll have a little exam at the end that'll make sure that at least you really hit the benchmarks. You don't want to send you out into the field to open and you don't know what square is. So there will be some kind of metric at the end there. Then you'll get your certificate. This is our franchisee down in Mississippi, and this is when he was at training, and he's now open, Kyle McCardle. All right, so as I mentioned, after you leave training, you're going to be expected to do some post-training modules on Motor Oil U. You will have access to Motor Oil View 24/7, and you should think of this as your resource for everything that you need to know to operate your Costa Oil business, including optional courses, manuals, job aids, forms, and other helpful documents. And you'll be able to access these materials as you start recruiting your team, and as you start preparing for grand opening. In addition, there are several post-training courses and modules, as I mentioned, that will require you to take on this platform. Following live training here, we continue to provide support to our franchisees as needed. And one form of that training will be weekly conference calls, a show that we produce. You'll be able to dial in from anywhere once a week and really benefit from our operations team's expertise, where we'll cover different topics like local marketing strategies, fleet business, resolving customer disputes, cash management strategies, tips on reducing overhead. This is your opportunity to engage with us on a regular basis once you're open, to ask questions, and be able to continue to optimize your business. I encourage franchisees to learn from each other too, and you'll develop that relationship, hopefully starting during live training, where from different parts of the country you'll be together and you'll meet each other and you'll start to develop contacts within the system that you can build on, and as you guys proceed with this journey together. As I mentioned earlier, everyone is going to be assigned to a franchise coordinator for assistance during the pre-launch phase, including the site selection, construction, and training. Once your business opens, our operations team is going to be available via phone to assist you with immediate operational support needs during business hours. For example, the situation arises in your business, the day-to-day operation of your kiosk, you've got a difficult situation with a customer, you'll be able to contact us for assistance in guiding you through a resolution to the matter. They will be a resource for your training on hiring and management best practices, customer dispute resolution, oil change procedures, and point of sale system issues. But think of operations as there to consult with. They're going to, at some points, look at your want to know, okay, let's take a look at some QuickBooks reports so we can give you some advice on how you are marketing your business. What is your marketing plan? How can you get that car count up? Those are the kinds of things. They're there not to run the business for you or to tell you what to do, but to consult with, to be a resource for you as you open your business. And of course, for less urgent questions, you'll be able to submit questions through our electronic channels, support@costaoils.com. Franchise webpage. Every franchisee is going to be assigned a CostaOils.com page that will include the information about your business, the address, hours of operation, staff, and you can customize that page as you desire and make sure that it's properly updated. We have an online company web store for franchisees to purchase materials and information like promotional items on the brand, and you can purchase branded apparel and merchandise as you deem appropriate. As you know from earlier today, we have established relationships with various vendors, different businesses, to help our franchisees with various needs, and you've heard from many of them today. Oil, equipment, tools. We'll also provide you with a complete approved vendor list for your reference once you become a franchisee. Here are a few of, and I know this is difficult to read, but you will receive a complete list of our approved vendors once you come into the system. These are relationships that we've vetted to help you guys operate your kiosks without the need to search for your own outside options. But as Costa mentioned earlier, keep in mind that this is an approved list, and there are many items outside of the three main ones that you mentioned that you are free to select another vendor. But when you choose to go outside of our approved vendor list, we ask that you seek approval in writing from the franchisor before proceeding with that third party. And then finally, one of the ways that we support franchisees is through our mystery shopper program. And what this does is the purpose of this is to help our franchise owners who are usually not always in a kiosk every day for every transaction. It's to help you ensure that the operation of your business meets the highest of standards, even when you're not there. And to also make sure that you're in compliance with the franchisor brand standards. This provides an opportunity for you guys to coach your team and help improve the customer experience. And it also helps us maintain brand consistency. Having said that, I just want to at this point turn it over to questions. Any questions about franchise support? Anything that I've talked about that you're curious about?
Who are the franchise coordinators?
Great. Well, you've met a couple of them so far. Cody, you've met Cody, and Alzi, you're gonna meet her next. So we also have.
And then our third to the trio is on vacation.
He's out on
He's
vacation.
out to go to Ocean City this week.
And our director of franchise development, Brandon Cornelius, he's at a grand opening today in Charlotte.
Now, with the training, I understand that we come here, like you said, we stay here, do the 40 hours and everything. What about the people that we hire? Do we have the manager or whatever also has to come up here, or do we use Oil University and what we gained here to train them back in Texas?
And that's a great question. And so first and foremost, every franchise gets to invite 3 people. We're pretty flexible about that typically, but at least 3, which can include your manager. So if you have a manager hired at that point, a lot of times you don't, you can bring them.
Well, that was what I was wondering. Do we hire before we open? I mean, of course we do. I mean, you gotta have people, but I mean, do we hire them that far out and start their salary then?
No, typically you won't. Typically,
Okay.
it's going to be for like a territory manager. If you're intending to have more than 1 unit and you've got a key person who's either designated as a principal operator or someone who's going to manage a territory of locations, and you have that person ahead of training, then you can bring them with you. But you're not required to have a manager. And typically, you wouldn't hire your manager 4 to 6 weeks prior.
Correct.
Yeah.
But I was just saying, so once we do our training here, then whatever we do or whoever we hire, we just take care of that in-house in our.
Train them.
That's correct.
Okay.
You have access to oilu.org in perpetuity after training. You can go through the training. The actual training we do is on the website. We go through, we use the website as our training. What Justin's getting at is if you yourself are not going to be the principal operator, someone who does the training has to attend. A manager doesn't necessarily have to be that person. So for example, we just had, we had Lou Woods and Andrew Thornton from Atlanta, who are the operators of the Mike O'Connor team. And they're going to do the training. And then when they open their stores in Atlanta, they're going to hire the people and put them through the training that we put them through. But they're not going to be the ones changing the oil. They're the principal operator.
And that's what I was kind of wondering, like, if we do hire some people like to run it or work it, we're gonna run it. But then say if somebody quits, do we have to resend them up here, but we do all the
No.
training in-house?
Yeah, you can come as many times to training as you want. You know, we have limited space. So what Justin's talking about is with the 3-person cap. Technically, like if you're the only people on schedule to come, you could bring your whole staff if you want, but you can go, it's a scheduled training on the same date every month. So you can come as many times as you want.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to be, just to clarify what I'm understanding. So a site manager who could possibly also be a lube tech, if it calls, he or she doesn't have to attend training?
No,
Okay.
no, as long as the person, which could be the franchisee, most oftentimes it is the franchisee
Okay.
who's going to train the person who runs the store. that person needs to come. We have several, so we have 58 franchisees and over 138 territories sold. So the vast majority of our franchisees are multi-unit people, and some of them have from their other businesses existing infrastructure. So I referenced the Atlanta boys. They have a different business where they have a CFO and a COO, and then they take their internal people and move them around the different businesses. So two of their guys who are technically not the franchisee, they came to the training because they're the ones responsible for hiring the people once the store is done.
Gotcha, gotcha, that makes sense, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Other questions? Okay, great. All right, so I'm gonna turn this over to my colleague, Halsey Bland, and Halsey's gonna talk a little bit about some of our marketing offerings. So Halsey?
So I'm Elsie, I'm a franchise coordinator. I handle all of our social media and marketing. So we are currently creating a company called Costa Services Co. where you can have us in-house handle all of your social media and the marketing. So we will have two different charges and two different processes. So the first